And the worst part is like, I don't see that. I don't see what's wrong with what I've just
And
written, you
then you
know?
see it in one of the first comments, like, oh, teacher, by the way, you made this mistake. What do you mean? It's like, God damn it. I didn't see
No,
that. I've
I
already
still don't see
uploaded
it.
it.
I'm
I'm
like,
not
what do
gonna
you mean?
delete it
What's the
now.
difference? I wrote the same thing.
Welcome to English with Lewis. Let's go!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of English with Lewis with a wonderful guest. So, without further ado, Marwa, welcome. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Lewis. How are you doing?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. It's actually summer when I'm recording this, but it won't be uploaded till the end of summer. And I was kind of complaining to you because I was saying that last week I came down with COVID, so I was coughing and spluttering, blowing my nose, sneezing and everything. But I think I'm on the mend. I think I'm getting better. So fingers
Get well
crossed.
soon.
And what about you? How's life?
Oh, actually, just as you mentioned, I just came back from Valencia, Spain. So yeah, so I was off for a week. It was really amazing. I loved it. People are so friendly and hospitable. The weather was perfect. So I'm like an iguana. I don't know if people know what an iguana is. Like maybe you can add a sticker.
Uh-huh.
But I need between 23 and 27 degrees,
Okay.
like not hotter and not colder. And that was the weather in Alicante and Valencia. So I just loved it there. It was never too hot. It was never too cold. The food was amazing. So delicious. Yeah. The beach. Oh, I loved it.
Um,
So
it's interesting. First of all, I agree with you about the weather because I'm very sensitive to hot weather. And even when it's cold, despite being British, I have like poor circulation. So my hands and my feet get really like cold. It's like the blood doesn't get there when it's under 10 degrees. So
yeah,
it
I
needs
thought
to be like
I
20 degrees for me.
I forgot the name of that syndrome because I think I have it.
Oh, yeah? I think it's
And
called Raynaud's or something, Raynaud's syndrome. It's
maybe,
basically bad
but if you
circulation
grab like
in
a
your fingers.
cold drink, do your hands get super cold?
Yeah,
Like extra cold, like.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not nice, and it's weird because maybe at the same time my forehead will be sweaty, and then my hands will be like ice cold, and it's like, what? What's going on?
I know what you're talking about. I feel you. I have the same problem. And people don't really understand that because so most of my friends really don't get this. So I get ready, let's say it's winter, and I put on like my coat. I'm ready to party. It's super cold outside. I get in a cab. The cab has the heater blasted on, and then after that, in 1 minute, my body goes from super cold to super hot, and then again, my poor circulation, and suddenly I have a headache. I'm nauseous. And I'm like, guys, I can't make it tonight. And they're like, what's going on?
It's too hot, but
It's
it's only
too
2 degrees. No, it's too cold.
exactly. It's just like nobody gets it. But yeah.
I get you. I feel you. I feel like I can relate to you so much right now, which is why I actually loved when I lived in Spain because it was just always like hot. And then if it's always hot, then I don't get the temperature changes that I get in Belgium or in the UK in particular when it's cold outside around Christmas time and everybody's in pubs. You are walking down to the pub, you've got your scarf on, your gloves on, you're really, really cold, but because you're walking, you're starting to get a little bit hot. Maybe your back's starting to sweat a little bit. And then when you arrive and walk in the pub and you have to say hello to all of your friends, and you're hugging and kissing and shaking their hands, but you're sweating buckets. It's like, oh, this has happened to me so many times. And I'm like, sorry, just leave me alone. Just I'll be right back. Um, does this happen to you too?
Yes, but I already start like kind of like taking off my scarf and my hat before, so I'm like I'm getting ready before I get there. So like, yeah. But you don't live in Spain anymore? How come?
No, I don't. I haven't been for the last couple of years, actually, because I used to live in Spain for like 5, 6 years in total. A lot of my students are still Spanish, but because my girlfriend works for the European Commission in Brussels, obviously she cannot work remotely all the time, whereas I can. So
Mm-hmm.
because of my extra flexibility, I moved here. I still visit Spain as much as I can. In summer, I'll be in Spain for a whole month. And
Nice.
the plan in the future is to move back to Spain, but right now is not that time. So we'll see what happens, but fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. It's the same for me because of my husband. So we have to be based in Germany, even though he works online
Uh-huh.
because of tax reasons. Like here, like in Germany, I think you're allowed to work only 30 days abroad, or else the laws change, whatever stuff. We both work from home, but we're not allowed to live in another country.
And if you could work remotely 100% with your husband, where would you move? Valencia?
Spain, Barcelona.
Okay.
Barcelona, 100%.
Why? What is the fascination, the attraction with Barcelona?
I don't know. Actually, so the first time I visited Spain was, I think, 7 years ago.
Hmm.
So I back then I had just broken up with my ex-boyfriend. And then I was like, okay, I'm single. I'm about to, turn 30 in a couple of years. And I had a couple of things on my bucket list. And one of them was a solo trip because I'm one of those people who travels all the time, either with friends or with a partner. I don't travel alone. So I was like, okay, let's do this. I was like, okay, where should I go? Spain, Barcelona. I've never been there. Let's go. And then I arrived, and it was funny because I first visited a friend in France, and then I took the bus from Marseille to
Hmm.
Barcelona. And already on the road, I made so many friends. And there was like an old guy, like a 60-year-old guy who was a painter and was like painting people. And I met a dancer, and she invited me to her show that night, and I went there. And then I was alone, right? Having my tapas, my croquetas, and there
Oh
was
yeah.
like
Keep talking.
a group of friends, like a group of friends. They just saw that I was alone and they just started talking to me. And they didn't really talk in English, but they were, like their body language was so friendly and welcoming. And they just invited me to dance. And then the whole week was magical. I was walking around the city and I would just sip on a cappuccino somewhere with the most amazing view, like I think it was a Gaudi's house or
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Yeah, it could be.
And and then I went to Sagrada Familia and it was just impressive. So beautiful. And I got a scarf and I just felt so good. I felt happy, safe, relaxed. It was cold but sunny. It was just, I don't know, magical. And I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
So I went back to Turkey and I started learning Spanish.
Okay. Not Turkish, right?
No, because I already learned Turkish. So I was speaking Turkish already. And then I went back because I was living in Istanbul when I went
Mhm.
to Barcelona. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn Spanish. And I started learning Spanish, Castellano.
Mhm.
And then until I met my husband, and then I needed to learn German, and then I forgot Spanish. And now, like when I was there, like I understand everything, but every time I start speaking, German words come out. I'm like, no, that's not the compartment.
Ja, ja.
No, I
Eine
need.
Bier.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I mean, I think it's very easy to fall in love with Barcelona and Spain in general because of like, first, it's very cheap in general. Maybe not if you want to buy a house or rent and stuff like this, but like the cost of living in Spain is really low. People are really friendly. Generally speaking, cities are kind of full of life and options and bars. The food is incredible, like the produce in general. Like it's the farm of Europe, essentially, in particular around the southeast of Spain. And people are very open-minded. Like there's kind of not a lot not to like about Spain, Spanish people, and living there. And yeah, I mean, whenever this does become a possibility, I would encourage you to go around on a trip of Spain in general to visit all of the cities and then maybe settle down in Barcelona. Who knows?
actually, I did that last year. I have a Shiba Inu,
Uh-huh.
a dog. And then we were like, okay, we can travel, like, we cannot really travel by plane. So we were like, okay, road trip, again, destination, Spain. So we went to Saint Sebastian,
Yeah.
Valladolid. It's
Mhm.
really beautiful. Zaragoza, again, Barcelona, of course. And this time I was in Valencia, Alicante, and all of the small villages around it. So yeah, I think I've been to Spain already. Like, I'm gonna go to Barcelona again in September. I think
You
I've been
can't
to
get
Spain.
enough. You're addicted
No,
now.
no, I can't. Like, I love it. So yeah,
Awesome. And you mentioned croquetas,
yes.
croquettes. Apart from croquettes, what are your favorite Spanish meals or tapas?
Okay, so I
Difficult
like.
question, I know.
Yes, but I'm a foodie, so I'm like, I studied really well for this question. So the thing is this, I like bocarones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing
You
that
say
correctly.
boca, what?
Bocarones?
Ah,
Bocarones?
boquerones.
Is
Yeah,
that
which is like
correct?
fried anchovy, more or less, like white
Yeah,
bait.
yeah, and I think
Boquerones.
like, are they anchovies or sardines or types of sardines, right?
Yeah, it's strange because in Spanish cuisine they like eat everything that lives in the sea, basically.
Yeah.
Which we don't in the UK. We have like cod, haddock, salmon from rivers, and that's about it, really. But I think boquerones are little anchovies or white bait or whatever it's called. They're not sardines, but it's very, very similar, to be honest.
I'm so happy you explained that to me because I really want to make that at home, but I just don't know what they are. I just know that they're delicious. So that would be number one. Number two, I wouldn't say paella. I'm like, I like rice, I like seafood, but it's good, but I always prefer lighter meals, you know?
Just too fillings, too heavy, got a food
Yeah.
coma after eating it.
Exactly. It's a bit too oily, greasy for me. So I would,
Mhm.
yeah. The other thing, of course, I would go with it's called um, tortilla de patatas.
Yeah,
Is that
tortilla de
correct?
patatas.
It's like the Spanish omelet.
Exactly, yeah. So
Oh,
Spanish omelet with potatoes, and then the big debate is like, do you prefer it with onion or without onion? But to be honest, it's good both ways. And then with a Spanish omelet, of course, that is the traditional one. And then you can add or take away whatever you want.
yeah. Okay. What can you add?
I mean, so in the north of Spain, it's common to add lots of different things. Maybe like green peppers, a common thing to add. You can maybe add some chorizo, for example, or some ham. You even have some that have like some truffle in it as well. which is incredible because I love truffle. And then in some places they add cheese. So basically, you have the blank canvas of eggs, potatoes, and oil, and then maybe onion, maybe not. And then after that, that's the traditional one. The rest, it's up to you to kind of improvise and invent your own versions.
I know what I'm gonna do next in Spain. I'll be looking for these.
Okay, give me all of your tortillas.
Exactly, I want to test them all.
So
Um,
it sounds like you know your Spanish cuisine, and I'm sure you'll be looking forward to going back in September for sure.
Absolutely.
But I just realized with all of this fluid conversation, you haven't introduced yourself, and I'm sure many people who are watching this already know you. But do us a favor, tell us a little bit more about you.
Sure, sorry.
We started bonding over the bad circulation, and then from there it was a whirlwind.
It's so easy to talk to, like so my name is Marwa. I was born and raised in Tunisia. When I was 21 years old, I moved to Turkey. And then I lived in Turkey for like 10 years, 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
And there I learned Turkish, and part of me became Turkish, honestly. I feel like Turkey is my second home. Turkish people were so good to me. And I was teaching English there. I don't know if people are famous with some language schools like one. So I was working there at different language schools. Then I started working at a university. And I love traveling, just as I said, I traveled to Spain and I traveled with my best friend to Germany and I met my husband. Well, and then for 1.5 years, we were like living like between Istanbul and Munich. So it was like 1 month here, 1 month there. And then after some time, we were like, okay, we need to be in the same place. So I moved to Germany, and this is my third year in Germany, and I'm still learning German. I speak 5 languages.
Okay.
So, one thing you need to know, Louis, I speak Tunisian. All Tunisians learn Arabic at school because Tunisian is like a dialect that is so different. It's like when you think of Scottish people, like they speak English, but I'm not talking, they have another language though, right? Gaelish.
Gaelic, yeah.
Gaelic, sorry. Yeah. So, but like that's a different language, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when they're speaking English, they also have different words, right?
Exactly, like I, for example, or we, for example. There's a whole list, but it's the same language, but of course the accent is very, very different, and you have a lot of Scottish slang. Is it similar with like Tunisian slang?
It's similar with all countries from like I think I don't know if in Mauritania they speak Arabic, but from Morocco to Syria, they all have different dialects. So the moment so it's funny. So my husband was trying to learn Arabic, and that's the one we use. Like it's just formal, you learn that at school. Nobody speaks that. But when you say those words, we understand you. But when people answer him, he was like, what are they saying?
Eh?
Because it's so different. So I speak Tunisian and Arabic. I speak French, English. I learned Turkish when I was in Turkey, and now I'm working on my German, and I think
And your Spanish, of course.
I wouldn't count Spanish because I understand, but I cannot really speak it. So yeah.
Awesome. So before we started recording, I was telling you that I don't really know many of these countries, in particular Tunisia. I know where it is on the map, but that's about it. Like, what's it like? And if I were to visit Tunisia, where should I go and what should I do and what food should I eat?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So first, let's start with what's Tunisia like. Okay, so have you been to Greece?
Yes. Yeah, I
Have
went
you
like
been
a
to
decade ago.
the south of Spain?
Yeah.
Have you been to the south of Italy,
Yes.
Sicily?
Mm-hmm.
It's a mix.
Kind of similar.
Yeah. So you have some parts where you have those white and blue houses, and it's very similar to Sicily because I think also there are a lot of Tunisians living there. So the
Mm-hmm.
culture is also very similar. It's a little bit more conservative, of course, than Europe. But it's really beautiful. Like, for example, look at this. This is a beach in Hammamet.
Uh-huh.
This is where my
I
parents
mean, the
live.
water looks incredible. It's perfectly crystal clear.
Yeah. So Tunisia is mostly famous for its beaches, and you have like all-inclusive hotels.
Mm-hmm.
It's really affordable. Like it's really affordable. And also what people don't know is that you should go to the desert south, and there you have a very different experience. People are super friendly, very generous. And you have also some electro festivals, like electronic music festivals.
In the desert.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah. And I don't know if it was Star Wars or Star Trek. Do you know? No, probably not.
I'd guess Star Wars, but I'm not sure.
Probably, yeah. So part of the movie was shot there in the south. And there is this city that is crazy. But you have this is like the level, right? The ground level. And the
Mm-hmm.
whole village is built underground.
Uh-huh.
So you have like caves underground.
The cave people.
Yes. It's really beautiful and interesting. And Tunisians are friendly, I'd say. And yeah, but when it comes to food, I don't know, do you eat hot and spicy food? And when I say like hot and spicy, like I'm Mexican level,
No,
like
I love hot and spicy food. Like I said, the only problem is that then I get sweaty, but I still enjoy it. It's worth it.
we believe that's good for you, you know?
Let it out, you know. Get rid of all the demons through sweat.
Yeah, so the food is rather like spicy hot.
Okay.
We have a lot of traditional dishes and meals, and usually like when my husband goes there, she's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Just try it," because if I tell him what's in that, he would be like, "I'm not eating this." I'm
Okay.
like,
For example, are there any like insects that you traditionally eat,
no,
or is it more like the innards and like organs?
yes, like offals and
Yeah.
yeah, you can have like stuffed stomach with intestines and
Uh-huh.
heart and liver.
Okay. I'm guessing you're not a very picky eater then.
I mean, like, I don't eat that, but I always want people who visit Tunisia for the first time to try it because it's so exotic and different.
I mean,
I'm like,
when in Rome, you know, when in Rome,
yes.
do as the Romans do. When in Tunisia, eat random stomach and innards.
Yeah, but the best part is like you wouldn't even suspect it because it doesn't look like that. You know, they would slice it and then you will have just like veggies on
Uh-huh.
top. And then you're like, okay, what's this? You don't know what it is because you never had it before. And then you're like, uh-oh.
Okay. But it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Tunisian
think it's
food,
good.
it's top tier.
Internationally, I don't know. I'm honest, right? So I love it. But then again, I grew up there. I don't know if my friends they are crazy about it, you know? I'm, I'm just honest.
Yeah. Let's
It's
see.
different.
If anyone watching this is from Tunisia or has traveled to Tunisia recently, let us know what the food was like. And also, if you went to an electronic music festival in the desert, then how was the experience? I'm curious. Now, moving on from that, obviously you said you moved to Turkey and then from Turkey to Germany. Um, when did you actually start teaching online? And when did you start posting videos online?
Uh, so I I quit my job at the university in Istanbul
Hmm.
and I moved to Munich, but it was after the pandemic. And I was like, working online too much, you know? It's amazing. I'm an ambivert. Like I'm introverted but extroverted at the same time. So sometimes I just like, my social battery is really low
Yeah, yeah.
and I really love, just, sitting in a quiet place. So I was like, okay, I need to work online. So I started working online. There are a couple of platforms where students just like, look for teachers and then like I was teaching one of my students and he was like, and during my lesson, like, I try to be funny so people remember what I'm teaching. And sometimes I have funny glasses on and like, different personalities. Like when Ahmed comes, it's very, very important to speak
Uh-huh.
like this in Arabic, of course.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so I was doing some of this stuff. And my student was like, hey, why don't you record this? It's really good. I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
So yeah, so I started in 2021, November, and then around November 2022, I had already 1 million followers.
So it was a whirlwind. Things kind of took off very, very quickly. Um,
No, actually, my first 6 or 7 months, I had barely 10,000 followers. I don't know, like it's yeah, but it's hard work. People think that our job is just like, you're just there, you're having fun. It's hard work. You need to be consistent. You need to do this, you need to do that every day. You need to comment, you need to please the gods of the algorithm. You need to, cry
we're all
sometimes. How about you, Louis?
we're all slaves to the
Yeah.
algorithm as we are recording this content that we're about to post. But no, in my case, like it's weird because I started making content but for Teachify for the company like ages ago, like before the pandemic even, because I used to cycle around. And then when I was cycling or just about to arrive at my next company to teach the class, I'd get my phone out and I'd be like, okay, do you know the phrasal verb run out of? I'm running out of time. I need to go to my next class. And I uploaded it to the company platform and Instagram in particular. But I never really considered making it myself until I moved to Brussels, because I think it was a big change in my life. And maybe I didn't know as many people here. So I had more free time. Maybe I was a little bit more lost about my future and my life and all of these things. So I thought, like, hey, why not give it a go? Why not give it a shot and start uploading my own personal content at the same time? And for the first few months, I didn't really have many followers either. And I was always looking to collaborate with other people to try and boost the initial engagement and reach and all of these things. And it happened, it worked. I got a relatively viral video. And basically, since then, I haven't missed a day, like uploading a short video to Instagram. I've been so consistent. So I am a slave to the algorithm. And it's hard sometimes because you need to be very organized, very creative. A lot of the time, I'm thinking of ideas when I'm going for a run or I'm going for a walk. I'll try and record like once per week and then edit them, usually the same day. Maybe when I'm waking up in the morning, having a coffee, going to the bathroom or on the toilet, I'm on my phone. I'm like, okay, 10 minutes, I can edit it. So it's really hard work to be so consistent. I'm guessing you're laughing because you do the same thing, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's got to be done. You're killing two birds with one stone. You're making the
Right.
most of your dead time. And this is a way of telling people also that if you're trying to improve your English, then I recommend making the most of your dead time. So when you are walking to work or driving to work, listen to this video, for example. Or maybe if you are on the toilet, of course, scroll up and down on Instagram or YouTube. And if possible, maybe try to make some notes at the same time. Because if you're just passively watching, then it's probably going to go in one ear and out the other. Whereas if you're watching and paying attention and maybe taking screenshots or writing down in a notebook, and then you
Or
try to
simply
remember at the end of the
commenting the
day.
words.
Exactly. You
For
need to make
example,
it
guys,
active.
which words did you learn now? Like watching this video, just leave a comment below. Comment below. What did you learn? And yeah, I agree
Practice
with
makes
you.
perfect. And that's kind of my way of working and creating content. Obviously, with these videos, I reach out to people and then we get together for an hour and I leave it scheduled for the weeks to come. But with the daily grind of short videos and reels, what is your creative process and schedule for making and editing the videos?
So, so the funny thing is this, sometimes when I'm teaching and my students make mistakes, I'm just like taking notes and they're like, Marwa, what are you doing? Are you writing a reel? I'm like, no,
Nothing, nothing.
no, we're not gonna see your mistake in my video, no. So I always need students to inspire me because this is as, you know, like these are the words that my students need. And then usually I have like teaching days and then recording days. I'm super well organized. Um, what I try to do differently this year is take care of myself a little bit more because the first 2 years I was like, people say to me, of course, you're out now because you don't have a 9 to 5 job. You're a freelancer. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a freelancer. It's a 24/7, 365. Like the first time I had a proper holiday was last week in the
Wow.
last 3 years. Like I was working on holiday every day. I need to deliver. I'm watching a movie. For me, the movie is not a movie. I know these words, but my brain now is wired differently. That I'm like, oh, that's a good expression. Ooh, oh, that native speaker just made that mistake.
Uh-huh.
You know? And like people around me are like, Marwa, just chill. And I'm like, I can't. And this is the thing. So like you're always thinking about that, then you need to edit the videos. Like for example, my first time editing a video, I think it took me more than 7 hours because I didn't study that. I didn't go to school to learn how to do that. I didn't have a training. I needed to figure out myself how to do
Yeah.
that. So in the beginning, it was super difficult. And then the more you do it, the more you practice, the more you get the hang of things, and then it gets easier. So yeah, so now like I record like in batches, like yeah, and then I edit, cut, and so on. I have someone add the captions. I don't know if I'm dyslexic or whatever it is, but
Uh-huh.
I do not see some mistakes, like especially when
Is
it
it
comes
like with
to
typos? So like, I don't know, with like they, there, etc. Or is it just
no, like for example, like if like I don't know if there's an I and E. It doesn't matter how many times I look up that word, I'm always gonna mix it up. If it's the
uh-huh.
I before the E or the E before the I, or like if there's an extra space or if there's a capital or so when I'm the one adding the captions, like it looks really weird. So and the worst part is like I don't see that. I don't see what's wrong with what I've just
And
written, you
then you
know?
see it in one of the first comments, like, oh, teacher, by the way, you made this mistake. What do you mean? It's like, God damn it. I didn't see
No,
that. I've
I
already
still don't see
uploaded
it.
it.
I'm
I'm
like,
not
what do
gonna
you mean?
delete it
What's the
now.
difference? I wrote the same thing.
Exactly. It is kind of, let's say, scary when this does happen because obviously, as we mentioned, we put a lot of time into building our own personal brand and our own business and these things. And then if you don't take care with little things, like there are videos that we can upload that for some reason people might call us out for or take offense for. And the fact that we are exposing ourselves to the world does mean that we are maybe an easy target for people to kind of criticize. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but do you have a thick skin or do any comments kind of get to you?
I'll answer that later, but I have a question for you. Do you
Go on.
have haters?
Not many. I don't have many haters, but then I've very, very few. And then whenever people do ask or like kind of call me out, maybe I didn't explain something well, or maybe I made a mistake in editing. For whatever reason, I didn't do something as well as I should have, perhaps, then there will always be people ready to criticize and correct. And these people often are not posting their own videos or are not trying to build anything for themselves. They're just trying to put you down by criticizing you, even though they're not offering valuable content themselves. So it doesn't really happen, but it has a couple of times. And to be honest, it doesn't really get on my nerves, but it's more like I look at their profile and I think like, okay, well, what are you doing then? Like, what are you doing to help people? And I'm quite good at not being affected by it by having that mindset. But whether you like it or not, you will think about it. So,
Well,
it's
the
tough.
thing is this, like, if you have haters, it means you're successful. This is the first thing. Like, this is how you should look at it, I think. And so answering your question, so in the beginning when I started, I was very sensitive, because some people may not even comment on even the mistakes that I made or anything. It's just like, for example, I'm showing something, I'm demonstrating, and one person would write under like a comment like, "You eat like a cow, you Arab," for example.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often, of course, but it does happen. And it used to make me really sad until I realized one thing. I myself, I'm always on Instagram. I have never ever written a negative comment. If I don't like the content, I might disagree with many people. If I don't like the content, I would probably just scroll up. Or if I follow this person and they just like share videos that I disagree with or I find offensive more than one time, then I'll simply unfollow that creator. But I have never, ever insulted or criticized anyone online. And then I just realized one thing, that people who do that are probably very unhappy or lonely, or they're not very happy with themselves or whatever. So their comment is not actually about me. They're not commenting that just because I made a mistake or because people make mistakes. It's human. People do think that you don't like it. You will never be able to please everyone. It's just like people who do that, it's their way of like putting other people down to feel better about themselves. And then I was like, yeah, but these people don't really matter to me. I don't look up to them. They are not important. And they're not, if it was someone like, let's say, I care about you, Louis, and I really, respect you and I think highly of you. And then if you write a comment, then and I'm sure that you will criticize me in a positive way, rather like, I forgot the word, but
Positive criticism, I guess.
yeah, but there's another word that is like help me improve with that, right? It's that would be the point. So I would, maybe in the beginning feel a bit criticized, but also I'll be like, well, probably he has a point. what does he mean? And there'll be a conversation there, and then I'll learn from you. And I'm totally open to that. So this is how, like, now I would say I have a thick skin, because I see criticism in the following way. If the person words it in a very positive, polite way, where that person wants to actually educate you and add something, so I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm open to discussing this. Why not? And then if the person's just trying to, put me down or feel better about themselves, I'm like, yeah,
Exactly.
you don't really matter
It
that
means
much.
nothing. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Or who gives the monkeys, we can also say, which is a nice kind of friendly way of saying the same thing. But it's true. I mean, they always say that no kind of publicity is bad publicity. So whether you have haters or not, it means that you're doing something right. And it means that you are drawing attention to yourself and your products and your services and whatever it is that you're trying to promote. So I would say that we are on the right path. And of course, we're saying this and talking about it because I think it's interesting for people who are watching to understand what it's like for teachers and creators, because it's not all rainbows, it's not all perfect. And there are certain things that you do have to deal with, like, as you mentioned, not having time off, perhaps. We are probably addicted to the platforms that we post on, and we do have to be kind of working all the time. And it's difficult to disconnect and switch off. And then if you do have people who are commenting things that are not very nice, I guess we just have to put things into perspective and realize that there are always going to be 99.9% of the people who follow us who get value from what we are posting and have fun with it. And then there's always going to be a 0.01% of people who are just there to try to put you down. This nice phrasal verb we've used loads. To put someone down is try to make someone feel bad for no reason, really, by insulting you and criticizing you. And just going back to a previous point that I mentioned, you actually mentioned, and it was that when you're watching a film or a series, even then, when you're supposed to be chilling out and relaxing, I do exactly the same as you, because for my Spanish content, I'm always trying to translate expressions from Spanish into English. And then when I'm watching a series, I have the subtitles on in Spanish, and I might see an expression. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. That's nice. And then I have a list on my phone of like different idiomatic expressions in Spanish that I translate into English. So it's like, even when we're supposed to be relaxing after a long, hard day, we don't.
We don't. That's the best part. And the worst part, I wouldn't say the worst part. The most challenging part is the following. I am learning German. I follow a lot of amazing German teachers and creators. As a creator, I realize that right now, I'm not in a mood. I'm not in the mood to learn. I want to laugh. Give me a cat video. Give me a people falling, makeup.
Anything related to food always cheers me up.
Exactly. It makes me hungry too, but yeah.
Pros and cons to everything.
So even though I love that teacher, I'll just swipe up and not watch the video. And she put, I'm sure, a lot of hard work into it, but I'll just swipe up, not like it, not watch until the end, because it's not about her. It's just about me. I'm not in the mood to study. And studying, is different from the other things that you do, So I find that the most challenging part, where we really work hard on making our videos interesting and coming up with different ideas and so on. But then simply it's Friday evening and everybody is like in the mood to go out and party, and then like, oh, an English video. Like 5 hours of work, 5 hours.
Anyway, I'm aware that we do need to wrap it up soon. But
It's okay.
Of course, I mean, this is basically like a therapy session for both of us. And it's funny because the amount of my students who've told me this when we're having class, because they already have such a high level of English and they just want to improve their fluency, learn some expressions. And then maybe at the beginning of the class, I'll ask them like, oh, so how's life? What's new? And then they'll start to express themselves and go from one thing to another. And it's a great way of improving your English. If you're speaking about your feelings, then you are really, really adept at speaking in English. And now we're basically using this to just let it all out, unleash our emotions. You're going to feel so good after this. So, by the way,
thanks for listening, for being such a good listener, Louis.
I mean, I'm all ears. I'm always all ears, and I'm sure everybody else is. And obviously, guys, if you're watching this and you have any questions for us, do not hesitate to ask in the comments, and we'd be more than happy to respond. But before we do finish, Marwa, I believe you have some courses available or something like that, because of course people can find you on YouTube and on Instagram and on TikTok. But if people really want to go deeper, what should they do?
Well, actually, I don't know if you know Mike the Chameleon.
Yeah, of course.
So Mike the Chameleon and I co-wrote a book.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like short stories, and then after that, it's available in German, English, or English only. And you have also a QR code, and you can do a lot of exercises and so on. And I'm super excited about this. It's a book more for children, but it's also good for everyone who is like B1 level. And it's more like fantasy style. I had a lot of fun writing this book. So if anyone wants to practice a little bit more, like reading these short stories, then I'll be happy to. But I heard that you have some courses or lessons or...
Who knows? Who knows? So with my case, maybe I have some classes available. If so, I will be sure to let you know in the comments, but I'm keeping it tight at the moment. Everything is under wraps. Everything is top secret. But no, these stories sound awesome. And if it's a collaboration with Mike as well, I'm sure it's going to be incredible.
I hope so. I'm just looking forward to the English version to come out, because now we have only the German English version available. And then there will be the English one. So, yeah.
The English one. Cool.
English to easier English.
Fantastic. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Maybe we'll do the same again in a couple of months or so, because I prepared so many random conversation questions, as I usually do. But in this case with Marwa, everything kind of just flowed and we just improvised and played it by ear, and one thing led to another. So I hope you enjoyed listening to us pour our hearts out. And if so, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. And Marwa, it was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
The pleasure was all mine. All right, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and see you next time.